What's going on YouTube? This is going to be kind of a quick one, but with the patch 8.05, this is going to be kind of a interesting thing they're adding back. Lord of Death and Hades changes. The summoned flying units of Undead Dragon and Thanatos are now affected by Levy Area Command. Now, this was a thing back in the day when I started playing, and the thing was it was, I want to say broken, but very powerful. On par with almost Zeus Boar, where if you got it rolling, there was not many things that could stop you if you had a good front line. The damage was absolutely immense because the spawns, if you could get them out quick enough, were just extremely strong. So the idea here is I'm just going to quickly talk about what this will mean and how you can kind of build around it. I'm going to be interested to see how they fix or balance this, because now with Steed in the game, this can be very strong. So the first thing to keep in mind is that if they actually do make it where it just gains the Leviathan's buffs, it's going to be similar to the Tempest video. Anything that gains double buff, something like Hades, etc., is going to be same placements. Which does suck because I just did my Tempest video, but this, I guess, in addition to it. And what you can do is something like, let's see, Forsaken here. Let's say you have a couple like this, and then you have a couple Tempests, whatever it may be. You're trying to think, okay, what else can I buff with it? You could theoretically go with a Disciple in like this situation. And this is just spitballing ideas, right? And you could go then, okay, we have a Disciple here, we have Steeds all behind, we have this Disciple upgraded, you can have all these Steeds upped. These Steeds are now going to just spam a bunch of mana for now the strong Leviathan, Hades, Lord of Death combo. And you'll be amazed on how quick this is going to ramp up. Depending on how they do it, it might be, and I believe this was the case back in the day, it's technically speaking more beneficial in a lot of these cases to do the Lords of Death versus the Hades, because Lords of Death get the spawns out quicker, right? And the faster the spawns get out, the more damage the buff is going to give, right? Because it doesn't buff the bases, it only buffs the spawned units. So the Thanatos going forward, not going to be necessarily super strong because you're only going to get one or two of them out. But if you can get, one or two Thanatos out versus 6 Hades, that buff is going to scale more consistently. We don't have actual video evidence on how it's going to work, but keep this in mind. It's going to take some testing to figure out what's going to work well, but it is going to be very strong again. So I'd keep this in mind, keep looking for it, and kind of go from there. The big thing you're going to need to keep in mind, though, realistically, is this is all magic damage and a little bit of pierce. You're going to want tanks that can still help you out. I think Boar combination with this will be really strong. That's a combo I remember back in the day. Boars in the back line, because Boars are going to help you on waves where this is bad. So 17, for instance, this is really garbage. Because the Leviathans don't give you any buffs on like the extra hits because there's no ground units. It's all flying. And then, since 17 is a arcane defense wave, the magic damage is just kind of garbage too. So you'll want something like Boars with it. You'll want something that helps you give you some good single target damage still. It's going to be interesting though. I'm excited about it, but keep in mind, this is going to probably take some tweaking. Yeah, that's kind of it. I don't really know if there's anything else I need to add on this. This will be an extremely different thing that they're adding back. It was broken back in the day. We'll see how they fix it. General rule of thumb, though, you're probably going to want more spawns than you are going to want to spam this, because it's just good damage. It isn't good tanking. That general rule of thumb of keeping more tanks than you have DPS for late game, it's going to be interesting. I think the build's going to be pretty neat. If you have something like Magician, that you can do Magician with a circle of Hades with levies on them, will be really cool. I remember back in the day, people would do it where you could have a Disciple, like let's say here. And then what you do is you take Lords of Death and you go you know, in a circle around. And then you take Tempest, like this, and you go one Tempest here, a Tempest here, Tempest here, Tempest here, and then you'd go like Tempest here to get levies. Because then every single one is going to be a double stack, and then you can just, you know, fill in around the gaps. It makes a really weird looking build, but that might be, you know, more beneficial in the long run, right? And then you just every other one is a Leviathan upgrade. We'll see though. More of this to come. When it gets back to being in the game, I am going to definitely try to finagle with this in ranked and get you guys a ranked game uploaded. This is less of a synergy guide and more just an extended patch notes idea thing. This will be fun. If they made a change to only the first dragon gets the buff but not the next ones, how would you build for that? Would it still be worth chasing? If they made it so that only the first thing gets it, I'd say you're definitely going to want to go for Hades then in that situation, because if they only make it the first one buffed, Thanatos is going to be a lot stronger than just base Undead Dragon in this situation, because it scales off the damage it does. But you know, from what they say here, it's just summon units. There's no limitation so far. So we'll kind of see how they balance this out, because they say they're going to do some balance only patches this month to try to keep things in check. I think this is going to be a requirement. It doesn't make sense that the flying Hades spawns and the flying Undead Dragon spawns don't work with it, but I also understand why they haven't, because it just creates a really nightmarish situation for balancing. We'll see. We'll see. I think this will be fun, though. It creates another aspect of the game, another synergy that will be really fun to utilize. Tempests are already a really good synergy unit if you have flying things. It just gives you another avenue of trying to figure things out. With something like this, question from chat, what merc was popular to send versus this? Like anything that spawns heavily, witches late game were really common into this, because the more spawn units there were, the more you could kill, right? Things like Centaur were pretty solid into it. Krakens were really good because it was all magic damage, really, aside from the few levies, which don't really do a whole lot. Things like ogres, though, you know, your traditional spawn unit thing, composition sends. I think it'll be neat, though. So that's kind of it. If you like this kind of content, please check out my Twitch channel. This is where we do this kind of content the most. Always feel free to ask questions in Twitch, and we can go from there. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Please like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.